This movie tells a story about a robotics engineer at a toy company who suddenly becomes the caretaker of her orphan 8-year-old niece. She's unsure and unprepared to be a parent, while at the same time she's under intense pressure at work. Eventually, she decides to pair her M3GAN prototype with her niece in an attempt to resolve both problems, a decision that will have unimaginable consequences. First of all, this movie is rather a mixed bag. It has things going for it. Unfortunately, the good aspect does not outweigh the bad. The design and characterization of the robot is interesting and probably the best aspect of this movie. However, the story really plays safe with the familiar killer doll horror trope. The movie lacks narrative innovation as there are no elements of surprises or subverting expectations. The technology runs amok theme, and the over-reliance on AI served as a cautionary tale in the meantime are nothing new. We know from the moment Gemma presents her latest creation to her niece that this robot is a bad one, which somewhat scuppers the movie's attempts to evoke thrills and generate tension. Apart from only a few exceptions, it's mostly predictable stuff from start to end. Its predictability is very high as the movie is telegraphing so much of what is coming. This is the sort of movie that sets up so many irritating characters doomed to meet a terrible end, as obvious as most of the outcomes may appear. The movie takes its time telling the story. Unfortunately, the build-up lacks personality. There's no consistent thrills, and the pacing might be too slow for some audience. The script often thinks that it's cleverer than it actually is. The movie sporadically seems to be winking at the audience, but also wants you to actually be invested in it. This isn't a comprehensive enough work to have it both ways. In terms of the character, there's a problem with the character of Gemma. The lack of grief regarding her sister's death and her niece's plight is glaring. There's a genuine emotional disconnect across the board when it comes to the performance and the development of this character. Regarding the robot, there's also a potential plot hole as to how she's able to do so much. We cannot tell you due to spoiler, but the character's evolution of the robot might be an issue for some audience that's too difficult to ignore. Eventually, the robot becomes less of a demented protector and more of a standard slasher villain, and at that point, this movie grows more routine and less interesting. Overall, we do not recommend to watch this in theaters. Just wait on your streaming service.